All right, I was on mute, so let's try that again. I'm David from Fatal Pixel. I'm working on a card game called Unstables. This is a box from some food, but I've written Unstables on it. And I have a bunch of cards here from an early prototype. Today I'm mainly going to be scanning those. So there are a bunch that haven't been drawn on, but I'm sure that my artist will get to those eventually. And in the meantime, I've got more than enough to decorate all of the cards. The main thing I need to do to update the prototype for more playtesting is print a couple of, print 4 pages of cards, just 2 of the individual cards, but also getting the instructions working, getting some printable instructions made will be good too. The Restream chat just is not loading at the moment. It's doing the thing that it sometimes does, where it just sits there spinning forever without actually showing the chat. But I should be able to chat. Oh, there we go. We got it. It's up and running. Okay, well, I'm going to jump over to here, and I think I kind of need to figure out which software that I have is the best for scanning. Might be a few options. Let me just move that over there. And so last time I got my MasterCard sheet set up, it's in it, just a big SVG file. I got that set up in Git. So now I've got version control on those. Just make a folder in there for scans. But I don't know if I'll check that into Git. Okay, so that'll be where all my scans go. And I will just, I think probably Paint.net. Paint 3D might do the trick. I'm not sure about the ergonomics of it. So that might do. Let me get a few cards into here. Maybe if I sort them into different card faces, that might make life a little bit easier in the future. I've got some that I've taken out of the sleeves. So basically I've just got paper cards cut out and put in card sleeves, and the card sleeves actually make them fairly easy to handle. So that's pretty nice. I do want to get a bigger paper guillotine that will cut a full A4 sheet down the middle. At the moment I've just got this little thing here, which is for trimming photos for photo frames or something like that, and it's not big enough. Like, it's only that size, about as long as my hand. Not big enough for a sheet of paper of, say, that size. It's just won't be able to cut that length or even the width of it, which means I've got to get scissors involved, and it slows the whole thing down. So that's on the list of things to buy, and also a little corner cutter. You can get little things that you just poke the corner into, press the thing down, and it'll chop the corner off in a nice curve. So if I grab one of those, that'll also make it really quick to add corners without having to get any kind of fancy high-tech cutting equipment. So try and get those things in the next couple of weeks. And it'll just sort of kick the prototype card decks up a notch, which I think is oh cool, three shame ones in a row there. Yeah, I think it just kind of makes them look a little bit more professional, and that's probably a pretty good bit of helping with the immersion of when playtesting it feeling like a proper card game, which I think will be quite helpful. So I'll just sort some cards until I'm going to pull these out of the sleeves. I need to move my keyboard and make a bit more space, really. This is one of the worst things about having ADHD and not being rich is that I can't have either myself or someone else just tidy up my space periodically or regularly. Is really the thing. I can do it from time to time, but it's not often enough to be able to just really effectively use the space that I've got. So, while I'm doing this, I can talk about the card game itself. Oh, actually, why don't I? First thing I can scan before I even get to the cards. I've got all these notes. So this is the original set of notes that I wrote down, like during the 15 minutes, probably a bit more than 15 minutes, judging from the amount of writing, when I originally thought of the game. So let's just see how well that scans. So I think I need to acquire from scanner or camera. There it is. Looks like the shame cards are on track to win. As soon as I get 8 of them, that'll be enough for a full scan. All right, so we've got a preview here. Can I make that preview bigger? Ah, good, I can. That's nice. I might also switch this to a zoomed view so that we've got a bit of just a more interesting stream. Let's put that just there. All right, looks like it's cutting off a bit more. Excuse me, it's cutting off a bit more than it should here. Is that even going to get everything? Victory/score, it says down the bottom there. Definitely looks like it's being cut off. But I have plenty of space at the top, so I might just try to get this slightly. Oh, maybe it wasn't quite straight in the corner. I'll just grab a bit of extra paper from somewhere. Oh, yeah. There we go. I did bring paper in here. I just didn't have Didn't have it in the usual spot. All right, there we go. So let's just weigh that down with several pieces of paper and try another preview. Oh, there's another shame card. I think that's 6. And there should be 8 of each card, I think, in the prototype deck, if I'm remembering correctly. There we go. Okay, it looks like it's got the bottom of that, so that's good. Just make that a little wider to grab the actual paper. Okay, what do we got here for quality? Brightness and contrast we can mess with later. 300 DPI seems reasonable. And I'll go with color because I've colored in some of those bits. Excuse me. Just realized I might not actually get 8 of most of these because if there are any that haven't been decorated, then yeah, that will prevent me getting to that. I think all 8 horses might have been done because that was something the artist was extra keen about. All right, so I believe that's been scanned. I think those custom settings are just exactly color picture. Did I press scan or did I press preview again? Scan. So I think I might have just accidentally previewed that. Yeah, I think a bit of the scanner noise is coming through. Maybe that's just my breath, actually. That might be right. Just there. There. All right, so that appears to be scanned. And despite what the preview was showing, it's pretty much cut off that bottom bit. So let's try that again. Maybe the adjustment I made got wiped out when I pressed preview again or something. It's kind of really strange to me that it's got, like, it actually fits something a bit bigger than A4, but it's not, it's just not including that. It's almost like these squares in the corner are limiting how far you can select. Oh, give that a try. There's another shame card. We've got 7. That's almost the whole set. Just need one more. Okay, that's better. Yeah, so there we go. That gives a bit of an overview of basically how the game came about, really. Because this was the original thought here. Was just a game where the players can't help but hurt each other, and then when they hurt, they get when they are hurt, they get a grudge, and when they hurt someone, then they get shame, and both of those things disadvantage you. So you have to get rid of them by apologizing or forgiving others, forgiving yourself, and so on. So that was just the really basic, broad concept, and then I came up with an initial structure that could achieve that, so this bit up here was added later, but basically a card game with a limited hand size. You play all your cards except for shame, guilt, grudge, or anger, whatever. I hadn't sort of settled on names for them. So they reduce your actions. So that was the basic concept, and that's still where the game is at so far. I haven't what do you call it? I've updated it, but not very much from that basic concept. So this is sort of what you need to play. So you need tokens that you can use to indicate who different cards refer to. There's these negative status cards, the shame and grudge cards, and the main deck that you can draw from. That's got your apology and your forgive cards, which let you discard. So an apology, you discard your shame and the other player's grudge. A forgive card, you discard your grudge and the other player's shame. These are cards that I haven't made that are possibility that I might include. So that lets you just discard your shame or your grudge, and it doesn't affect the other person. So I guess these represent sort of a communication that happens between the two people, whereas this is more like an internal dealing with your own negative emotions without communicating anything to the other person. I'm kind of going to go down the right-hand side here. This is the way that I wrote it, I think, if I'm remembering right. So basically, somewhere around here was where I thought about like what could be the project that you're working on. Like you have to do some kind of actions, but to what end? And that was the prompt. I came up with the like building something, and initially I was thinking maybe a building, like a house to live in for humans or something, and then I thought horse stables, because I've got some people in my life who are quite interested in horses, and so I thought, let's go with that. That'll make the playtesting easier, because I'll have a easy audience to get playing, a set of players for playtesting. Oh, that's there. Let's see. Get on my. I haven't got much space here, but I'm making things fit. So I'll put all of the actions there, all of the materials here. Oh, wait, that's an action. That's a material. Got them around the wrong way. Okay. Okay, there's the one that goes with that. I've still got one material that I haven't come across yet. I should be leaving these cards here and scanning things, shouldn't I? And then just pull a few cards out whenever scanning is in progress. I need to move this, so I can put those there. This can go over here. There we go. All right. Yeah, so then I came up with some really quick, rough ideas about like materials and things to do with them. And I haven't done this. I haven't done the background color on cards, which would indicate who is hurt by that card, by that, gathering the materials or the action. But I've come up with another mechanic which might work better than that anyway. So I'm going to give that a try before I start to add background colors onto these. I also added the horse once I figured out that building stables would be good to do. And there's the Love/Bond card, which I haven't tried without that. But the idea was to have something that represents the fact that if you have some emotional support from someone, then it can make it a lot easier to deal with things, give you more capacity to deal with them. And so how that's represented in the game is that where you have a limit of 5 cards and holding onto a shame or a guilt reduces that limit. If somebody has used one of these cards on you, then you can hold on to one more of those without it reducing your actions. So it kind of absorbs one shame or guilt for the purpose of determining how many cards you draw. Now, I had a few ideas for what that bond could do. So the idea is if you've got, if 2 players both play a love card on each other, then that forms a bond. And so then it's kind of two-way and allows something. This I'm going to be playing around more with. At the moment, I think something along the lines of being able to give cards, like maybe a single card per round or something like that, to the other player. I think that's the best thing out of these ideas. Having a defense against being hurt would sort of defeat the purpose of the game, because part of the fundamental premise of the game is that the players have to hurt each other because that's just life, and that's part of the concept that that the game is meant to reinforce or communicate. So yeah, something along those lines. And then I kind of wrote out, it's quite messy here because I was making it up as I went and just imagining what might work. So you draw up to whatever your hand size is. 5 is what I have been going with. I haven't tried basing it on the number of players or anything so far. And then you basically draw up to that many, play all of them that you can. Play your positivity cards if you have any negative statuses that they can apply to. You play materials to a staging area for stables. You can play actions onto those materials, and that represents progress. And I think you don't hold on to those if the materials weren't there. And if they're not your color, that's where you hurt somebody else. We were doing that with the playtest, but not by having the cards actually be colored. I was just rolling a colored die to determine a color and putting a token on each action and material that was drawn which slowed things down a little bit. But not too much. But yeah, I'm definitely very keen to try the other mechanic, see how that goes. Sort of changes from each player taking turns to instead kind of everybody, okay, we're doing the next round, and then we're doing the next round again, which probably makes it a bit easier to keep track of, because the idea is to have a limited number of rounds, and that determines your that a limited number of rounds during which to try to get the stables built. And so that means drawing fewer cards is a really negative thing. It's not like just until the deck runs out, for example, because that would be, drawing only one card wouldn't matter, because you'd still eventually get there and get everything to use. So let's see here. Oh yeah, if you've got like a bond, a love card, they are just love cards now, and then a bond is just what you get by playing a pair of them, a reciprocal pair. But yeah, you would probably play that first, because it would give you advantages on the other things. But I guess you can't actually get they don't work on yourself, they work on someone else, and the other person won't get the benefit until the next turn, because they would have already drawn their cards, I think. Something like that. Anyway, you discard all the cards that you didn't play from the main deck. You can't just freely discard Shame or Grudges. But here I sort of had some alternative ideas of choosing to keep some of the cards, which might mean you've still got them by your next turn. So it could be a detriment, but then it means that you've got them to use as a reaction during someone else's turn. So you might hold on to some Forgive cards, and then if somebody hurts you during their turn, then you get to immediately play it. That's kind of where the bond might come into effect, with being able to give cards as well. And then the next person sort of has their turn. But yeah, definitely in the next playtest, it'll be trying kind of everyone draws all their cards for the round, and then probably you sort of rotate around playing those cards until they're all played. Something like that, just so that way you got a bit of an opportunity to build on top of what, someone might put some materials down, and then you can choose a material, or you can choose an action that works with that material, or things like that. Or maybe someone plays an action that so far isn't usable, but then you play the material, and that lets them do that, something like that. So yeah, that's basically all of that, and then I should just scan the next thing. I should save that actually too. I'll just put the other side of that in there, because that's got notes from playtesting. And there's the one with the bottom cut off, isn't it? Yep. Don't save that. Let's do a save on here. And just pop this over there for the moment, because I wasn't sure where. Okay, so this is let's call that one Unstables Original Design document. Just save that one as a JPEG. Okay, stable scans. How does that look compared to that? Since I've gone to the trouble of scanning it. Don't want it to just look horrible. Chroma sampling. 2.2 meg. What if I did quality 100? With best chroma, best, okay, 7 meg. Okay, let's have a look. If we were to save as a PNG. Oh yes, so that gives me 13 meg. And I don't know if that just is because this is slightly bigger, that it's not looking as clean. Definitely much bigger than the JPEG though. So I'll go with the JPEG. Sure. There we go. And now require another one. Yeah, it'd be nice if I can find a way to get this set up and then just keep hitting the button. I don't know what all these buttons on here do. There are many buttons on this scanner. I think it's a printer/scanner. So if I had just a flatbed scanner on its own, that would probably help. Okay, let's go with scan on that. Now we've got a bunch of white paper, but it's not quite white. So what I've got here that I just scanned, this is the this is notes after the first playtest. So here was the deck I was playing with in this box here, and some notes. I don't know what that was going to say. Could something? I think that was maybe going to say could. Can I have more of the earlier materials than the later materials, or something like that? This is where I kind of figured out I needed a lot more of these, and probably 24 is the right amount based on 4 players and 75% chance of hurting each other. I'll have to look at what the probabilities of hurting each other are when it's not based on color, but based on working in the same area as someone else. Because that will change that up a bit and sort of change the balance. 12 plus to form all the bonds. Yeah, makes sense. So for 4 players, each player would need to have one per each other player, so 4 times 3. So yeah, we used 3 horses, but I think the shortage of these was making it difficult to get the stables out. So it probably would have been more like 5 or something. We ran out of these cards, but then we ended up just using tokens on them. So it might just make more sense to have one each of those cards that has maybe make them bigger and just have space to put tokens on there or some other representation. So yeah, this is kind of what I have meant to do and not actually got around to because I got a bit carried away with setting up my prototype decks. Better in the long run, but it means that I haven't got a deck that's ready to play the next iteration of playtesting. But I'll get there. It wouldn't take me very long at this point to quickly throw that together and get them printed if I needed. But I haven't got the new guillotine yet that will make it a lot easier to do that. But yeah, so I had different just bits of thoughts and feedback from there. So how we did it. Yeah, the thing we did with the tokens and so on. A lot more forgive and sorry. This was an idea from one of the players. Another idea from a different player. So for other types of cards, so I might add those once I've got the basic deck all set up. And yep, Bond idea, sharing action cards. And that's basically it. So yes, scanner's working. So that's good. So I'll pop that back over, so there. Keep this wad of paper. And okay, so that means that way is up. And I've got a bunch of shame cards here, so I might get them all in the same scan. I've got 7. Is there one more in here? Maybe. It's so untidy having mostly shame and one of something else, but I'll get over it one day. At least the horses, there are 8. Now, the way that these were arranged on the printed sheets was basically like a sheet this way, 4x4, the same as I've got the sheets to print. But this, I mean, I can always rotate these, but if I can find a way to get them to fit without needing to rotate them, that would be nice. I wonder if I could fit 9, like given the card size. If I flip them to landscape, can I fit 9 cards on a sheet? That would be kind of good. I think to allow proper margins for cutting out, for proper things. Wow, actually, yeah, that might work quite well. That's quite interesting. I'm just gonna actually come over here and grab just opening the MasterCard sheet. Inkscape is taking its time to open up. And I've got my trusty calculator here. Not as trusty as it used to be. There we go. Inkscape's doing its thing. I just want to grab the size. I know we've got, for height, we've got 94 mil. So if we were to go 3 cards high on a sheet, that would take us to 282. And 297 is the height of a sheet of A4 paper. And I know it's 66 point something, so let's do 67 times 3 for the width, and 210 mil is what we get. So that gives me 9 mil. So basically, it depends on the print margins that I have, whether I'll be able to fit those cards. So something to consider. I'm going to save this. I think I need to get in the habit of like sort of saving and closing each thing. First playtest. Notes. I'll get these more organized eventually. But for now, I think we're okay like this. All right. Hopefully that is closing those won't stop it from stop that from working. Oh yeah, I should really look up HP DeskJet 3630. I just googled for the buttons. Looks like a manual PDF for that. So that should say what these buttons are, because if there's a button I can just press and it'll like do a scan and dump it somewhere, that would be good. That would be very useful. So yeah, it looks like I can do 9 cards. Oh. And for some reason it's just decided that the outline of that card just doesn't count. Now I've got heaps of space, so I can even move them a bit further from the edge. Just looking at the manual for this scanner here to see if the buttons, I might have to install some software to make the buttons work properly, depending on how things are. Here we go. So these are the buttons. What do they do? All right, so we've got the display. Cancel button, yeah, makes sense. The wireless button. Oh, that might be handy to not have to plug it in, but that might slow things down for, is that Wi-Fi Direct? I don't know how old this scanner is, so any of these features may or may not be working. Start, copy color button. Oh yeah, so that's doing copy, which I don't want to do that. I just want to scan. Power, ink alert, resume. Okay, what else? Yeah, it looks like none of those are related to scanning. Not too surprising because the image needs to actually go somewhere. Copy and scan. Yeah, so there'll be some software. No mention of Windows 10 here. 8.1 is the most, like the newest one mentioned. So that gives an idea about the age of it. Scan a document or photo. Okay, yeah, so it's pretty much just you can only do that with some software. So I think what's going to be good to keep these, separate them out a bit so they're a bit easier to cut up digitally. And I'm just going to kind of grab random ones. Doesn't really matter what order this happens in. It's just an aesthetic preference that I want to try to put everything on the same sheet of. Sorry, have like the same card on the same scan sheet. It's not actually necessary for any reason other than what my brain wants. Yep, that appears to have worked. Hit scan on that one. Okay, so that's one batch scanned. I'll just save that. Slightly tempting to just save them all at the end, so it's kind of more batch. Doing that in a repeated batch. No, I don't want all these to be JPEGs. PNGs. Let's see what we'll end up with. Oh, and also you can see there's this sort of gray stippling. That is all just an artifact of the fact that the printer I'm using is just really old and has something wrong with it. And one day I might buy a new one, but it's adequate for making okay prototypes. It's not color either. If I get a few card games to the point where I want, nice, pretty colorful prototype cards, at that point I'll either look at getting a printer that will work well for it, or just finding somewhere that I can have them printed, which I suspect might be cheaper for a few decks, but get more expensive for if I'm iterating a lot. Wow, 15 meg. That's not that big. In the grand scheme of things, that's not that big. I'm just comparing it to the 2 meg or something that I got before. It looks like that's slightly twisted, but it doesn't really matter because it's really mainly the artwork out of these that I want to get. I don't need the words or the borders or anything. Okay. There have been times when I've been like just scanning a bunch of photos, and you kind of just get into the swing of doing a bunch of scanning. So yeah, get a workflow going and go through it. I should get a bit of music on. I don't usually do these kind of repetitive things so much. Did that just go in front of the camera? A cat has been nudging things and reducing their stability a bit lately. Yes, music. Oh wait, I know where I've got music. I've got music I can play on stream, so I'll go with that. In here, this playlist here is safe to play on streams because it is the Heartbound soundtrack. And also will play on the stream if I actually turn on desktop audio. Just make that random. And turn it up to about there. Just drop a message in chat if the volume is too low or high on the music. And you either can't hear it or can hear it too much. Okay, so I've got those there. I've got to make sure these cards that I've already processed don't get mixed up with the others again. Okay, I'm going to pop the horses here. I'll move my chair a little bit as well. Oh, this is going to be really bad ergonomics. So I haven't actually had a chance to play Hardbound, but I have got the soundtrack. It's a game that I believe has many layers. Well, that's just not quite the variety of music that I'm going for. Let me just adjust that so I can see it. I'm just going to skip that one. It has its place. It's probably sounds like some kind of a boss music. This card here, the nails card in the bottom right of this sheet, is not. That was when I started to cut out the sheets of cards in bulk to some extent, and didn't quite have them completely lined up, which didn't matter at all. It irked me a little, but that's neither here nor there. The game was completely playable, missing a bit of the border. Okay. So that's grabbing a preview. Nice. Be nice if this preview window would stay as big as I want it. I was going to say the side of that card got cut off. It did a little bit, but physically it got cut off by me with a guillotine a bit too much. There, anyway, let's grab that scan. This one's cool. It's a sorry that's speech bubble going around the card heading. There we go. So that has all of the horses. What do we got? We got Brownie, Onyx Eye, Goldie, Ginger, Grayling, Dust Hay, Starry, Canterer, and some nails, which is not horses, but well, you can use them to attach horseshoes. So that's something. All right. So I had 2 sheets of cards and I printed each 8 times. So that means there should be basically 16 scans would more than cover it, but I think I've got about half of them. So I think I might end up with about 8 scans. Is that right? I don't know. We'll find out. Just save this as same as the other, but number 2 instead of 1. So after these are all scanned, I can cut them up into the separate cards. I'll figure out a naming convention for the files. And then that'll give me something that I can bring into the SVG, like link into the SVG, and also something I can come back and kind of clean up and add, like get transparency and stuff, to clean them up as I want. Okay, so what do I want to scan next? Well, I'll just start on the right here. Got some sorries. Some forgives. And some loves. Oh, actually there are 4 loves there. Be good to... Nah, it doesn't matter. I should not spend more time just because it's symmetrical to have all the loves on the same sheet. It's a problem if I let those kind of idiosyncrasies slow me down too much, because at the end of the day it's more satisfying to get a bunch of stuff done. That random paper that I put on top of there is not yeah. I'm going to turn the music down a little there and then up a little there, because it's basically louder for me than it is for you. Yeah, it's probably good. All right, let me get the next scan going. It'd be nice if I had a way to not have to select it every single time. Select the scanner every single time, because that's just a bit tedious. Okay, we've got a preview. Oh, bigify that. Bigify. It worked. Yeah, it's trying to capture things that are pictures instead of the whole lot. I mean, I'm sure I'm not going to actually use this, but for whatever reason, I want to capture entire cards. I really like this. Sorry. Wait, is it? I like the sorry at the top here, in the middle, and the forgive on the right here. Is very, very expressive. Something about how these colors are being captured. It's a little different from how they show up, I think. I'll try and tweak how the how the settings are on those, because I think there's something about them that's slightly different on the screen compared to in real life. Okay. So that's third scan, so number 4 should be about a halfway mark for this evening. Cross this other love card. I've got some grudges here. Get some drilling cards. Especially some of the actions that I want to rename. Just to better reflect what they represent. And some nails. There we go. A lot of the nails cards look quite similar. Similar to each other. And I guess that's just the nature of nails. They're all just roughly linear bits of metal with a pointy end and a blunt end. To very simplify. Of course, there are different types of nails that have different purposes. Yeah. All right. Next one. Scan. Kind of wish to some extent that the scanning took longer, because then I could get all these cards ready and have a bunch more ready. Got another grudge just there. We got some good grudges in there. Yep, looks good. There we go. Hit scan on that one. Getting quite a lot of painting cards here. So they might go in the next batch. Oh, there's another drilling one. All right. Get that one saved. Okay. Okay, so that's 4. So that should be about half the scans for now. Okay, what did I say? I was going to put painting. Got some paint to go with that. There's another paint here. So I'll grab that one out of its cover, out of its sleeve. All right. Couple more sorries here. These are like sorry signs that say apologies. I do like the faces better because they're just so expressive. So I'm not sure if we'll end up with a deck that has like a bunch of different cards, a bunch of different artworks on for each card type, but that was not. Oh, really? Really, just let me just block this. Got excited that there was somebody there saying hi on the stream, but it was just advertising, buying viewers, which is really weird. Right, I'm acquiring this next batch. Yeah, so it's a bit. I guess it's people who want to try and get rich from streaming, and they think that, I guess to some extent you can manipulate the algorithms. Like the more viewers you have, maybe the better, the higher ranked you'll be in the listing, and so then you're more likely to get more viewers. So you can kind of artificially start things rolling with getting viewers in. But it is a really weird concept, paying for basically the numbers to go higher without actually any real humans seeing what you're doing. So then you can just stream to a whole bunch of bots. But yeah, it doesn't really sound very fulfilling to me. I'd rather just stream to people who like what I'm working on and want to see what it is and how it's coming along. Even though that's excruciatingly slowly usually. It would be wonderful though to kind of get to a point where I could bring in sufficient income from just working on games and streaming to cover sort of my expenses, and then I'd be able to do it a lot more and things would come along a lot quicker. So that's what it's all about at the end of the day. It's just time. We've only got so much of it, and I've got to swap a bunch of it for money so that I can eat food and give other people food who need food and stuff like that. Oh, I got another roof sheets here. Let's grab that out. Put those nails there. These roof sheets can go here, here, and here. There are some of the cards that have the corners cut off, and then there are a bunch that don't because it was taking too long. This is a good song for just slowly plodding along at a task. So I got 5 sheets scanned. This is number 6. And that looks like an amount of cards I could get scanned in 2 scans. Okay. Give it the old preview. Nice. That'll do. Scan that. Wonderful. Save this as that, but with a 6 on the end. Yeah, flippy floppy. Gotta put all these back in their sleeves after I've scanned them. I might just do that not on stream. Probably just do that as a fidget activity while I'm in meetings for my day job, so that I don't get too bored and stop paying attention to the meetings. Because otherwise I just end up fidgeting with my keyboard and writing code, and that really distracts me from the meetings. So sometimes it's just whatever works. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like just fitting into the neurotypical workflow. That's a lot of extra overhead. I don't have any trouble focusing on just creating something without doing a bunch of meetings. Oh yeah. Probably if I just hit scan without the preview, it would just give me a little bit extra around the edges, which I could crop off later. Might be a quicker workflow, but I'm just about finished at this point, so not very worth optimizing. Okay, there we go. Get that scan, and then I've just got like 5 left here. I'm pretty sure. I'll just double check that the rest of these don't have any with art mixed in. Nothing else there has art on it. Oh, it's also kind of just partially sorting them into the classes of cards. Okay, so that's ready to save. Sheet number 7. I think without the stippling, it might end up with a much smaller file size. Actually, probably for JPEG compression, it would be. PNG, I'm not sure. I think it still has to represent each thing. Maybe there's a shortcut for white or for a solid color. I'm not sure. Okay. And my final 5. Try not to rush those and have them too crooked. And they ended up a bit crooked anyway. That's all right. Okay, that is scanned. Save that one. Sheet number 8. All right. Well, I'm pretty much at the end of my available time window here. But I think that's pretty good progress having those scanned. I think it'll be very risky for my sleep and ultimately for my physical and mental health to try to get all of those cut up today as well. Because basically I should be finishing up in about 3 minutes. And I've got a really bad habit of going, oh, I'll just get one little thing finished. It'll only take a moment. It's just cutting them up or whatever. And then I end up losing track of time, taking longer to do that thing than I'd estimated. And not only that, but then also going sort of forgetting that I was finishing up and then starting on other things, ending up staying up way too late. So I really need to stop doing that because I do not feel good in the morning after I've done that. But I am going to sort these cards into the different types so that I can give them to my artist in case they're going to be done in batches, because that's what I think she was doing most recently. Not sure if that was on purpose or if it was just whatever cards she randomly got her hands on. Sorted all the materials and actions. Just doing the positive cards, positivity cards. I think either one to distinguish. There we go, that didn't take long, which is a problem because there should be more of those in the deck. And then they got the negativity cards over here. Just 2 grudges and a shame. I might put those on top. Actually, I'll put the positivity cards just after them as well. So they're the, I think they're the best ones to get the art for. I have a whole other drink here that I haven't remembered to touch. So I'm not going to get all of these scanned cards back into their sleeves right now, but I will put them here so that in the morning I'll start putting them in there. Yeah, so yeah, pretty good overall. Got, let me see if I can grab something that shows an overview of those in some sense. There we go. So I got some in, got those guys recorded and all these sheets of cards. So cool. Oh. So the next thing is to do with those, cut these sheets up into the individual cards, get them all saved, and then refer to them. Well, I think cut out the artwork, because that's what I'm going to put onto the things, but I'll probably try and make them all be the appropriate size, so I can just stretch it onto the size of the card, and that way it will fit as it was drawn initially, and then I can make adjustments to that later. But for now, just stick with the original artistry. Yeah, I'm going to grab my tasty drink here. Needs stirring. There's pink on the bottom. There's still pink on the bottom, and I'm pretty sure that's just some light from the computer showing through. This is now switched to stirring this ASMR. With background music. I recently, well, yeah, several weeks ago, rearranged my office, but I hadn't quite sorted out a place to put my drinks. I'd learned the hard way by spilling drinks into my keyboard to keep my drinks somewhere down low. Oh yeah, that music's kind of appropriate. And so then I ended up with a cup of tea in front of my keyboard, and then just knocked it into the keyboard. And then I'd pulled off keycaps, mopped up everything I could see, and thought, oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I got all of it. But then it wasn't until that weekend that I opened up the keyboard and found that there was a pool of tea in the bottom. So, yes, definitely would have been much better if I just immediately dismantled it, got and dumped a bunch of a bunch of deionized water through it, and then like rinsed it out with isopropyl. That would have made it so much easier. So I'm now here just crossing my fingers that I've adequately cleaned it out and it's not going to just slowly get corrosion over time. So far, so good. Fingers crossed. Anyway. I feel like I'm going to get corrosion if I don't go and get to bed soon. So I'll wrap up the stream. Thank you very much for watching. It says one viewer. I'm pretty sure that's myself. So thank you, me, for watching myself on this stream. It's been swell, but the swelling's gone down. So I'll be back next time in 3 days' time and get these cards cut up and put them onto the MasterCard sheet. Ooh. I think a cat is trying to get in here, so that is my cue. That is my cue to get up and go and open the door so that it doesn't get destroyed by a cat.